Let's just jump right in. Imagine the date is December 2025. On the surface, everything seems normal, right? But deep down, something huge is happening. The actual plumbing of the global economy is going through this seismic, almost totally invisible transformation.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This isn't hype. Financial reports from that time were practically screaming it from the rooftops. This one line right here captures it perfectly. A system just teetering on the edge. But the real question is, teetering towards what? The key to really getting what's going on here is to look at two stories that were unfolding at the exact same time. And at first glance, they seem totally unrelated. On one hand, you've got the collapse of what we'll call paper finance, this whole world built on promises and complex IOUs. And on the other hand, you've got this quiet, methodical rise of digital trade, a new system built on actual, verifiable proof. Today, we're going to connect those dots. Okay, so first up, let's talk about the crisis. And believe it or not, our story kicks off in Japan, with this financial engine that had been quietly powering the entire world for decades. It was called the yen carry trade. For something like 30 years, this was the global economy's secret sauce. The idea was incredibly simple. Huge investors could borrow Japanese yen for practically nothing. We're talking near zero interest. And then they take that cash and buy up higher-yielding assets all over the planet. Stocks, real estate, you name it. It was, for all intents and purposes, the world's silent money printer, and it flooded markets with trillions. But the whole game, the entire thing, was built on one single massive assumption, that Japan would keep interest rates at zero forever.
Well, in 2024, that forever came to a screeching halt. The Bank of Japan, dealing with its own problems at home, started hiking rates. The first one hit in July 2024, and just like that, a 17-year era of free money was over. Then another hike came in late 2025, and the final nail in the coffin was December 1st, when the governor basically told the world, we're not done yet. The silent money printer was officially being shut down.
And the result? A total and complete loss of faith. See, when a system that's built on paper promises and easy credit starts to fall apart, nobody wants more paper. People want something real, something tangible. And so this mad scramble began, a flight out of promises and into physical reality. And nowhere was that chaos more obvious than in the silver market. So this slide is basically a snapshot of a market literally breaking in real time. First, look at lease rates. That's just what it costs to borrow physical silver. They went absolutely vertical. The market flipped into backwardation, which is just a fancy way of saying people were so desperate to get silver right now that they would pay more for it today than for a promise to get it tomorrow. And then there's the COMEX faults. The registered inventory, the stuff that's supposed to be available for delivery, was just disappearing.
Let's just stop and look at this number for a second, because it's hard to even believe. 200%. That was the annualized cost to borrow physical silver. That number doesn't just whisper stress, it is screaming systemic failure at the top of its lungs. That is the price of pure desperation for a real physical thing.
So what happens when this massive global engine just stops and physical markets start to crack? Well, you get what the insiders call the Great Unwind. It was this absolutely brutal feedback loop. The more traders scrambled to pay back their yen loans, the stronger the yen got. And the stronger the yen got, the bigger their original debt became in dollar terms. This forced a global fire sale. They were dumping everything, stocks, crypto, even gold, anything to get cash. And you know it's serious when the biggest players start making moves. JP Morgan started shifting its entire precious metals desk out of New York and over to Singapore, basically chasing the safety of physical bullion in a place they trusted more. Okay, so that's the story of demolition, right? An entire financial system crumbling. But here's the wild part. At the very same time, a totally different construction crew was hard at work building something brand new from the ground up. And the problem they were trying to solve was just massive. Look at this number, 4 billion. That's how many paper documents, bills of lading, invoices, all of it, were physically moving around the world for trade every single day. A simple shipment could have something like 240 copies of documents floating between 30 different companies. It was a 19th century system stuck in the 21st century. And this was the solution, the IOTA trust framework. And it's just a brilliant, fundamental redesign. Step 1, you give everyone and everything companies, shipping containers, customs agents, a secure digital ID that can be verified. Step 2, you turn all the physical stuff and all the paper into unique digital tokens. Step 3, you notarize every single event on a distributed ledger so it's impossible to tamper with. And step 4, you make it basically free to use so everyone can get on board. See? This is a system built on proof, not promises. And this was no small-time project. IOTA was building a huge global coalition. They teamed up with the World Economic Forum to build this new trade system as an open-source public good. They partnered with Goliath, that's the official group that manages the global system for legal entity identifiers, think of it like a universal passport for businesses, to bring all that trust on-chain. And they launched ADAPT to build a digital trade backbone for the entire continent of Africa. So, let's recap. We've got the collapse of a paper financial system over here, and the construction of a digital proof system over there. They seem like totally different worlds, but now it's time to connect the dots. So what's the common thread? What's the fundamental link between a financial meltdown on one side and a tech revolution on the other? And here it is. The answer is a deep global loss of faith in paper. The whole financial crisis, it wasn't just about the yen. It was about the failure of paper IOUs, of hidden risks, of promises that couldn't be proven. And that led to a desperate scramble for physical proof, for silver. The digital revolution wasn't just about being more efficient. It was a conscious decision to move away from paper documents and toward a system of verifiable digital proof. They are two sides of the exact same coin, a massive crisis of trust. So you see, the real takeaway here isn't just about markets or some cool new technology. It's about what we're all going to build next. It's about the future of trust itself. And the people building this new system, they were perfectly clear about their ambition. I mean, this quote says it all. The goal was to become the foundational trust layer for the entire global economy, a neutral, public utility that anyone, from a huge government to a tiny business, could use and build on top of. You know, the chaos of 2025 was a massive wake-up call. It proved that the systems of trust that we all just took for granted were built on some surprisingly shaky ground. And that leaves us with what might be the most important question of our time. As the old paper promises continue to fail, what system of proof are we going to choose to build in their place?